Hey guys, Don't_PR to the S stands for Productions, and here today, I'm starting a new series. It's called NBA Bubble Recap. I recap what happens every single week in the NBA bubble in Orlando, Florida. Alright, it's going to take place at the end of the week, and it's going to recap all the games from the beginning to the end of, well, it's not going to, like the beginning of the week to the very end of Thursday, because that's the restart began on a Thursday. I made it confusing because why not? On Thursday, July 30th, only 2 games were played. It was great basketball in both games. The first game was the Utah Jazz playing the New Orleans Pelicans, with the Jazz winning by 2, 106 to 104. The Jazz leading scorer, Jordan Clarkson, actually came off the bench and dropped 23 points, while Joe Ingles, the god, pulled in 13 points on 4 for 7 shooting from the field. Alongside them, Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley, who dropped 20 apiece. The Pelicans, who lost, came closer to winning with their leading scorer Brandon Ingram also dropping 23. One of the biggest letdowns for them was definitely Lonzo Ball, who only dropped 4 points on 2 for 13 shooting, but he still dropped 7 assists and 6 rebounds. JJ Redick off the bench also dropped 21 points. Next game, the more exciting one by miles, is the Battle of LA, the Clippers vs. Lakers. Paul George dropped 30 points alongside Kawhi Leonard, who dropped 28, but they still lost. One of the main reasons being their bench was almost non-existent, their leading bench scorer being Patrick Beverley with 12. The Lakers, however, had a whole lot of scoring off the bench, with Kyle Kuzma dropping 16 points and Dion Waiters with 11. Anthony Davis had 34 points on 8 for 19 shooting from the field. LeBron definitely underperformed in this game. The only thing keeping him relevant was the buzzer-beater putback layup to win the game. The other starters definitely disappointed, all putting up 6 points. Definitely one of the best games in the bubble so far. On Friday, July 31st, there were way more than 2 games. 6 games were played. First game I'm going to recap is the Bucks vs. Celtics. The Celtics, who are my favorite team, lost 112 to 119. I'm surprised we didn't win because Tatum dropped so many points. It was ridiculous. 5 points? That's insane. But on a real note, Tatum was some hot garbage. I mean, he was bad. Somebody
give that guy a manual.
And he didn't even try to pass to anyone else either. He just wanted to ruin the team that day, I guess. Though Jaylen Brown dropped 22 points. I love Jaylen's game a lot. He's my favorite starter in the Celtics by far. Marcus Smart off the bench dropped 23 points. That's what I like to see from an up-and-coming player like him. Kemba also got 16 points. For the Bucks, I mean, what do you expect? It's Giannis' team. The man dropped an astounding 36 points on 14 for 20 shooting while grabbing 15 boards and 7 assists. The bench wasn't that crucial at all for them. Nobody even drops 10 off the bench, but it worked out for them in the end. The next game this day was the Nets versus the Magic, with the Magic winning 128 to 118. It was really the Fournier and Vucevic show, dropping 46 combined points, while John Isaac off the bench dropped 16. And for the Nets, well, their almost entire team is full of nobodies here in the bubble. I have absolutely no clue who a couple of these people are. Thomas dropped 6 points, but Karis LeVert, who I actually know who that is, dropped 17 on the team. But that's nothing compared to that guy whose name I am not afraid to pronounce. Nope, not at all. And Jared Allen and Joe Harris both dropped 14. Next game was the Grizzlies and Trailblazers, with the Blazers winning in overtime 140 to 135. Brandon Clark was the Grizzlies player of the game, scoring 21.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. But their leading scorer was Jaren Jackson Jr. with a heavy 33 points, while John Morant dropped 22 points and 11 assists. For the Blazers, Carmelo Anthony dropped 21 points and drained some clutch threes to secure the win. He also grabbed 7 boards and got 2 steals. That's not all, though. CJ McCollum dropped a nice 33 points alongside Damian Lillard's 29 and 9 assists. Gary Trent Jr. also pulled in 17 points off the bench. The next game was the Suns versus Wizards, with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton balling out for over 20 points. Ayton had 24 and also grabbed 12 boards, while Booker got 27 points, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds. For the Wizards, up-and-coming star Rui Hachimura scored 21 points while grabbing 8 rebounds on 8 for 15 from the field while draining 5 of 5 free throws. And a fairly unknown player, Jerome Robinson, dropped 20. Remember, Beal and Wall are not playing here, though, so they still have a tiny bit of excuse, I guess. The second to last game was the Kings vs. Spurs, with the Spurs winning 129 to 120. De'Aaron Fox dropped a cool 39 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists, while DeMar DeRozan dropped 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists. Derek Wright was outshined during this game, but don't forget him because he dropped 26 points, 5 assists, and got 8 boards. with Rudy Gay dropping 19 points off the bench. The final game for this day was a high-scoring thriller, Rockets versus Dallas Mavericks, with the Rockets winning 153 to 149. Kristaps Porzingis' 39 points and 16 rebounds was not enough to win, with James Harden dropping 49 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. So close to a triple-double. Don't overlook Russell Westbrook, though. He dropped 31 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks also dropped 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists, finally getting a triple-double. Also, don't overlook Tim Hardaway Jr. either, because he had 24 points on 50% from the field at 7 for 7 at the line. That's not all, though. Trey Burke scored a crazy 31 points off the bench while also getting 6 dishes and dimes, whatever you want to call it. We have reached August, boys. The first game is the highly underrated Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. I mean, the Bull team. Yeah, the Bull. That's who they're playing. The Heat won 125 to 105. Bam and Butler both dropped 22 points, neither shooting a single three. Olynyk off the bench also dropped 20 points for the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic dropped 19 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds, while Jeremy Grant also dropped 19 off the bench. That doesn't matter, though, because Bull, the God, scored his first real NBA points while also having a crazy assist. The next game was Shai Gilgeous GOAT versus the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell was underwhelming with only 13 points. The real star here is Joe Ingles with 7 whole points. For the Thunder, Shai GOAT Alexander dropped 19 points alongside Chris Paul's 18. Aquaman himself also dropped 16 points and 11 boards. The next game is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. For the Pelicans, Zion Williamson only dropped 7 points on limited minutes, so that's why. Brandon Ingram had 14 points and 2 rebounds. Nickeil Alexander-Walker dropped 15 points and 2 steals. For the Clippers, their leading scorer was Paul George with 28 points, while Kawhi scored 24, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds. The Clippers destroyed the Pelicans this game and let it rain from beyond the arc. Despite having little to no talent off the bench, they still won 126 to 103. The next game is the Philadelphia 76ers versus the TJ Warren team. Yeah, Joel Embiid, 41 points is good and all, but TJ Warren dropped 53 points. You'd think Oladipo would be the star of the Pacers team, but no, TJ Warren, the GOAT, was. Oh yeah, I mean, Joel, 21 rebounds. Yeah, they're cool. That's cool, I guess. Pacers win 127 to 121. Hey, Lakers haters, you might want to listen to this one real quick. Raptors beat the Lakers 107-92. And I was watching this game live, and ever since the start, the Lakers looked like something was wrong. Like, they were cold. That would hold to be true with one of the faces of basketball only scoring, 19? And his companion, Anthony Davis, only dropped 14. And Danny Green had a god-tier 0 points on 0 for 7 shooting. You know it's bad when Kyle Kuzma scores 16 and you still lose. Yes. Thick boy Kyle Lowry dropped 33 points and 14 rebounds alongside OG Anunoby's 23 points. Pascal only dropped 15, but he didn't have to do anything because thick boy Lowry carried. Yes. A new day of basketball. Coming into the bubble, the Nets were the clear-cut worst team, but here we are with them winning games now, against the Wizards, though. Rui barely even did anything this time, only dropping 9 points. Thomas Bryant, though, he dropped a cool 30 points and 13 rebounds. Karis LeVert had 34 points for the Nets, which led them to victory over the Wizards 119 to 110. Joe Harris and Jared Allen both dropped more than 20 points, Harris dropping 27 and Allen dropping 22 with 15 rebounds. The second game, my Celtics versus the Portland Trail Blazers. For the Blazers, Nurkic and Dame both went off for 30 points, but it wasn't enough to take down the Celtics because they lost 128 to 124. Jason Tatum definitely had a bounce-back game, dropping 34 points, while Jaylen Brown hit 6 threes while getting 30 points. Marcus Smart was definitely underwhelming, though, only grabbing 3 points, all from the free throw line in 33 minutes. Next up, we got the Spurs versus the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Spurs won 108-106. The team rode on DeJounte Murray's energy while he dropped 21 points and 10 rebounds for the win. For the Grizzlies, however, Ja Morant had the hot hand, dropping 25 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. So close to that triple-double. Jaren Jackson Jr. also dropped 21 points and 2 blocks. The season series ended tied 2-2 between these two teams. Next game was the Magic vs. Kings, with the Magic coming out on top, 132 to 116. De'Aaron Fox scored only 13, while Harry Giles, I don't freaking know, outshines him with 23 points and 8 rebounds. For the Magic, Aaron Gordon dropped 22, and Nikola Vucevic had 23 points and 11 boards. Wow. The second to last game is Milwaukee Bucks versus the Houston Rockets. Giannis, who dropped 36 points alongside Chris Middleton, who had 27. Doesn't matter, though, because they took a fat L. For the Rockets, Russell Westbrook dropped 31 points, and James Harden had 24 points and 6 steals. For the final game of the day, Luka Doncic had 40 points, and Kristaps had 30. Luka also had 11 assists, and for the Suns, Devin Booker dropped 30 points, while Ricky Rubio had 20 points, 7 assists, and 9 rebounds. August 3rd, baby! Let's go! The first game of the day was the Toronto Raptors versus the Miami Heat. Fred VanVleet was the Raptors' leading scorer, dropping 36 points, 40 assists. Ah, yes. 40 assists. Yeah, that did not happen. He dropped 36 points, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds. Jimmy Butler and Jay Crowder both had 16 points, and Goran Dragic had 25. But it wasn't enough to take down the Raptors, who won 107-103. Second game of the day is the Nuggets versus the Thunder, which went into overtime, with the Nuggets winning 121-113. Michael Porter Jr. had 37 points and 12 rebounds alongside Jokic with 30, 10, and 12 and a triple-double. For the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 24 points and 2 assists, with CP3 scoring 23 points and 8 assists. Danilo also had 20, but it wasn't enough to take down the Nuggets. Also, Bo was draining 1-3. For the third game of the day, TJ Warren team took down the Wizards 111-100. TJ had 34 points and 11 rebounds and 4 assists in the win. What a goat. Malcolm Brogdon put up 20 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds alongside Warren. For the Wizards, Thomas Bryant had 20. Then again, you don't have Bradley Beal or John Wall, so once again, you kind of get a pass here. The next game was some must-see basketball. The Rookie of the Year favorite versus Zion Williamson, except the Rookie of the Year favorite only had 11 points, but Jaren Jackson Jr. had 22 points. I love that name so much, man. He's been pretty consistent throughout the bubble so far, if you ask me. For the Pelicans, Zion and Brandon Ingram lit it up, with B.I. having 24 points and Zion having 23. That was enough for the Pelicans to get over the Grizzlies, 109-99. The second to last game was a close one, though. Spurs versus 76ers. Who would have thought that Shake Milton would have came in clutch and iced the game? Not me. Definitely not me. For the Spurs, DeRozan had 30 points and 5 rebounds. Derek White also had 20 points as well. Rudy Gay also had 24 points. For the 76ers, Ben Simmons was definitely a letdown, only grabbing 8 points. That's okay, though, because everyone else in the starting lineup scored over 15. Shake Milton had 16. Josh Richardson had 19, Joel Embiid had 27, and Tobias Harris had 25. Despite Ben Simmons' lack of scoring, the 76ers came out on top 132-130. And for the final game of the day, we have the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Utah Jazz. The Los Angeles Lakers' leading scorer was Anthony Davis, who dropped 42 points, alongside LeBron, who had 22 points, and off the bench you had Dwight Howard for 11 points. And for the Jazz side of things, you have Royce O'Neal getting a 5 whole points alongside Joe Ingles, the GOAT, with 5 points. Donovan Mitchell had 33 points, Mike Conley had 24, and Rudy Gobert had 16. Off the bench, Emmanuel Mudiay was the leading scorer with 7 entire points. The Lakers win, obviously, 116-108. August 4th, baby! The first game, also the most surprising game, the Brooklyn Nets heavily upsetted the projected 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. The man whose name I cannot pronounce had 26 points, with Garrett Temple dropping 19 points and 4 assists. For the Bucks, Giannis only had 16. Kyle Korver off the bench was their second leading scorer with 13 points, shooting 4 for 6 from the field. The second game was between the Dallas Mavericks and the Sacramento Kings. Lucas showed out for the Mavs, dropping 34 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. and KP both dropped 22, which is crazy. Dorian Finney-Smith grabbed a crazy 16 rebounds and scored as exactly many points. Not much went right for the Kings, though, but De'Aaron Fox had 28 points and 9 assists. Buddy Hield also dropped 21 off the bench. In the end, it wasn't enough to beat the Dallas Mavericks, though, who won 114-110. The third game was between the Suns and the Clippers. At this point, Devin Booker is definitely one of the best bubble players so far, scoring 35 points and a game-winning shot to beat the Clippers 117-115. Ayton also got some buckets with 19 points. On the Clippers side of things, Kawhi Leonard dropped 27, and Paul George dropped 23. Once again, the bench underperforms with only one player scoring 10. The next game is just the TJ Warren train moving along, with him scoring 32 points and leaving only Miles Turner to score more than 20. Although impressive, it was against the Magic, so it doesn't really count. Speaking of the Magic, star player Nikola Vucevic dropped 24 points and 10 boards in the loss, while Aaron Gordon had 20. Terrence Ross was acting like a boss, bars, out there and had 20 points. Oh boy, here comes a game I really don't want to cover. The Heat versus the Celtics. Now, as a Celtics fan, I am not afraid to say that the Heat lit us up from deep. It almost seemed like they were making everything, man. This game was full of highlights. A crossover by Tyler Hero that had Grant Williams, rookie out of Tennessee, stumbling backwards. I mean, hey, it's not as impressive as Kemba Walker draining a half-court shot. I mean, the list goes on. Jason Tatum had 23 points, and Jaylen Brown dropped 18 and grabbed 10 boards. Both Bam and Duncan Robinson dropped 21 points for their Heat, and they also had hoopers off their bench, with Goran Dragic dropping 20 points. Bam also had a double-double, grabbing 12 rebounds. For the final game of the day, James Harden and the Rockets versus Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers. Harden dropped 23 points while picking up 9 assists along the way. Jeff Green was on it, though, dropping 22 points for the Rockets. The Blazers had some hoopers, though. Damian Lillard had 21 points. Nurkic had 19 boards, and McCollum had 20 points, and Gary Trent had 16 off the bench. A new day, some new basketball. Let's get it, baby. First game of the day, the Grizzlies in my favorite uniforms in the entire NBA take this fat L from the Jazz. 4 players on the Grizzlies had 20 or more points, those players being Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, Jonas Valanciunas, and Grayson Allen. Jonas also snagged 14 boards. Joe Ingles, the god himself, the GOAT, the best player of all time, dropped 25 points and was the Jazz leading scorer. Mike Conley had 23, and Rudy Gobert had 21. Jordan Clarkson had 14 off the bench as well. The next game was between the 76ers and the Wizards. The Sixers ended up winning 107-98 with Embiid dropping 30 points and Simmons dropping 8 again. For the Wizards, Isaac Bonga, the Lord himself, posted 6 points and 8 rebounds. Thomas Bryant had 19 points as well. Next game is the Nuggets versus Spurs, and the Nuggets won by 6, 132-126. MPJ was lighting it up and had 30 points on 11 for 19 shooting. Jokic also had 25. Off the bench, Jeremy Grant had 22. For the Spurs, Derek White had 23, while DeRozan slacked a little bit, but still put up an impressive 18 points and 8 assists. Rudy Gay off the bench also had 24 points. Coming into the next game here, everyone thought the Lakers were going, nope, nada. The Lakers lose to the Thunder, 105-86. Chris Paul led the Thunder in scoring with 21 points. He also had 6 assists. For the Lakers, LeBron, it was not his best night out there, being the team's leading scorer with only 19 points. Not only was LeBron off, the whole team was. AD only had 9 points. This is one of the worst games I've seen the Lakers play like all season. The second to last game of the night was the Magic versus Raptors. Fred VanVleet was lighting it up with 21 points and 10 assists. Pascal had 15 as well. Speaking of 15, that's the highest anyone would score in the Magic. Evan Fournier and Terrence Ross both had 15. This gives the Raptors the season series sweep over the Magic. The game I was looking forward to document, the Celtics versus Nets. The Nets' leading scorer came off the bench and had 20 points, but the leading scorer on the starters only had 14, and it was Joe Harris. For the Celtics, Jaylen Brown was their leading scorer and had 21 points on 7 for 13 from the field. Everyone in the starting lineup had 10 or more points. Tatum even dropped 19. Guess it was just a fluke against Giannis, or not. He's an unpredictable player, man. Robert Williams blew up off the bench with 18 points. I can see him becoming a solid player in the future. For the first game, the Pelicans versus Kings, the Pelicans got lit up from deep. It's all cool, though, because we got to see big body Zion cook up in a loss. Also, shout out Lonzo for those 11 assists. For the Kings, Bogdanovich is probably going to get tested for something, because he was on fire, man. He grabbed 35 points alongside De'Aaron Fox, who snagged a quick 30 points and 10 assists. Pelicans lose 140-125. For the next game, the Bucks beat the Heat 130-116. Duncan Robinson was killing it out there for the Heat, dropping 21 points, 5 of those being threes. Tyler Hero off the bench also dropped 20 points. For the Bucks, 2 players dropped 33, Giannis and Middleton. Brook Lopez played good too, getting 17 points and 8 rebounds. For the next game, the TJ Warren train came to a stop, sadly. He shot 7 for 20, which was definitely... he was definitely overconfident, which I don't blame him for. The man was on fire. He only had 16, though. Malcolm Brogdon tried to will the Pacers back in it by dropping 25, but couldn't because the bench was doing absolutely nothing. Their leading bench scorer had 8 whole points, thanks TJ McConnell. For the Suns, at this point, Devin Booker and Ayton could be on a team with a bunch of nobodies, and I believe they'd still win a couple games. Booker had 20 points and 10 assists. Ayton had 23 and 10 rebounds. Off the bench, Cameron Payne had 15. Suns beat Pacers 114-99. Next game is the Clippers versus Mavericks. This game was a close game up until the fourth quarter. That's when the Clippers really pulled away here and secured the win, 126-111. Kawhi had 29. Zubac had came up big and got 15 boards and 21 points. Paul George also ended up with 24. For the Mavs, Kristaps had a cool 30 points and 9 rebounds. Luka also got 29 points and 6 assists, but it just wasn't enough to win. The Nuggets vs. Blazers game was a good one, with Damian Lillard dropping an unholy 45 points and 12 assists, securing the Blazers win 125-115. For the Nuggets, despite the loss, MPJ put on a show with 27 points, and Jeremy Grant snagging 18 points. Oh, and Bobo got 9 points. Yay, 4 for 7 from the field. Alright, guess we're doing this Rockets-Lakers one live. Y'all ready, boys? Alright, I didn't even prepare this one. Kyle Kuzma, 21 points because LeBron James was, in fact, out today. Probably why they lost. 17 points for Anthony Davis. Played 30 minutes today. He had 12 rebounds, 3 assists. Cool. Quinn Cook, 6 points, godlike. Danny Green, 10. KCP, 10. No real scoring off the bench. James Harden. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Was Russell Westbrook out? I guess so. I didn't know that. But yeah, James Harden, that's pretty much all you need to know, right? I mean, everyone else here, I mean, Ben McLemore dropped 20. I mean, Rocco had 8 points. I mean, what else do I say? Yeah, that's all you get. Yeah. I had to do this one live. I didn't know it was over. All right, bye.